Have you ever had that feeling? That moment when you just know someone regrets walking away from you, but they're too stubborn to admit it. It's like there's this invisible tension hanging in the air. You can feel it in your gut. They miss you, but instead of saying it, they stay quiet. They act like everything's fine, like they don't care. But deep down, you know the truth. Maybe they left because they thought they could find something better. Maybe they thought you'd always be there waiting for them, no matter what. But now that you're gone, they're starting to realize what they've lost. They feel the emptiness. They notice the silence where your presence used to be, and it's hitting them harder than they expected. They're watching you, maybe not directly, but they're keeping tabs. They're scrolling through your social media, asking mutual friends about you, or just wondering if you've moved on. They're curious if you still think about them, if they still have a place in your heart. But here's the thing, they won't reach out. They won't say a word. Why? Because admitting they miss you would mean admitting they were wrong, and for some people, their pride is more important than their feelings. Their silence doesn't mean they don't care. In fact, it means the opposite. It means they're struggling. They're trapped in their own ego, too afraid to be vulnerable, too scared to admit they made a mistake. They'd rather suffer in silence than face the truth. But you don't need their words to know your worth. You don't need their apology to move forward. Today, we're going to talk about why they regret losing you, but will never say it out loud. We'll break down the real reasons behind their silence and their actions, and most importantly, we'll talk about how you can take your power back, how you can stop letting their silence control your emotions and start living for yourself. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. It's about realizing that their silence says more about them than it does about you. It's about understanding that you deserve someone who isn't afraid to fight for you, someone who values you enough to admit when they're wrong. So, before we dive in, I want you to do something for yourself. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Their silence means nothing. I know my worth. Let it remind you that you are enough, just as you are. Let's get started. Number 1. They pretend they're fine, but it's all an act. Have you ever noticed how some people go out of their way to show the world they're doing just fine after a breakup? They post pictures of themselves smiling, laughing, and having the time of their lives. They stay busy, filling their days with activities, and sometimes they even jump into a new relationship faster than you can blink. On the surface, it looks like they've moved on. But here's the truth. It's all an act. They're trying to convince everyone, including themselves, that they're okay. But the harder they try, the more obvious it becomes that they're not as fine as they want you to believe. If they were truly happy, they wouldn't need to prove it to anyone. They wouldn't need to post every detail of their life or make sure you see how great they're doing. Real happiness doesn't need an audience. It's quiet, peaceful, and doesn't require validation from others. So, why are they putting on this show? Because they want you to think they don't care. They want you to believe that losing you didn't affect them at all. They want you to feel like you meant nothing to them. But here's the thing. If you really meant nothing, why are they trying so hard to prove it? Why are they working overtime to make sure you see how over it they are? The answer is simple. They're not over it. Deep down, they feel the loss. They feel the emptiness that comes with losing someone who truly cared about them. They miss the connection you shared, the comfort of your presence, and the love you gave them. But instead of admitting it, they hide behind this act. They'd rather pretend to be fine than face the truth, that they regret losing you. This is where their ego comes into play. Admitting they miss you would mean admitting they made a mistake. It would mean swallowing their pride and acknowledging that they took you for granted. And for some people, that's just too hard to do. So, they keep up the act, hoping it will convince you, and maybe even themselves, that they're better off without you. But here's what you need to remember. Their behavior says more about them than it does about you. Their need to prove they're fine shows that they're struggling. Their over-the-top displays of happiness are a mask for their true feelings. And while they're busy pretending, you have the opportunity to focus on yourself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, you don't have to play their games. You don't have to prove anything to them. Instead, focus on your own growth. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Let your progress and your peace be your response to their act. Because at the end of the day, the best way to show them what they lost is to live a life that's full, happy, and authentic, without them. Number 2, they watch you, but they'll never reach out. Have you ever had that strange feeling that someone from your past is still keeping an eye on you? Maybe you've noticed them liking your old photos, viewing your stories, or asking mutual friends about how you're doing. They might tell themselves they're over you, that they don't care anymore, but their actions tell a different story. Every time they check up on you, they're proving to themselves, and to you, that they're not as indifferent as they claim to be. Think about it. When you truly don't care about someone, you don't waste your time thinking about them. You don't scroll through their social media or wonder what they're up to. You don't ask friends for updates about their life. But here's the thing, your ex, they're doing all of that. They're lurking in the background, quietly keeping tabs on you, even though they'll never admit it. Why? Because they still care. They're still curious. And deep down, they're still connected to you in some way. But here's the catch. They'll never reach out. They'll never send that text or make that call. Why? Because their pride won't let them. Reaching out would mean admitting they miss you. It would mean exposing their regret and showing vulnerability. And for someone who walked away thinking they had the upper hand, that's a hard pill to swallow. They'd rather stay silent and keep up the act of being over it than risk looking weak or admitting they were wrong. This is where their ego takes over. They're trapped in a cycle of wanting to know about you, but refusing to take the first step. They're stuck between curiosity and pride, and their pride is winning. They'd rather suffer in silence than take the risk of being rejected or ignored. But here's the truth. Their silence doesn't mean they don't care. In fact, it means the opposite. It means you're still on their mind, even if they'll never say it out loud. So, what does this mean for you? It means you have the power to move forward without waiting for them to come back. You don't need their validation or their apology to know your worth. Their actions, or lack of action, speak volumes. The fact that they're still watching you shows that you mattered to them, even if they're too proud to admit it. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And that's exactly what you are. Free. Free from their games, free from their ego, and free from the need for their approval. You don't have to wait for them to reach out or wonder what they are thinking. You can choose to focus on yourself, your growth, and your happiness. Let them lurk in the background if they want to. You're already moving forward, living your life on your own terms. Remember, their silence isn't a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their inability to face their own feelings. So, keep shining, keep growing, and let their regret be their burden to carry, not yours. You're free to live a life that's full, happy, and completely your own. Number 3, they compare everyone to you, but no one measures up. When they walked away, they probably thought moving on would be easy. They told themselves they could replace you, find someone new, and erase the memories of what you shared. They believed they could start fresh and leave the past behind. But now, reality is hitting them hard. They're starting to realize that what you had together wasn't something they can easily recreate. What you gave them wasn't ordinary. It wasn't just surface-level connection or temporary happiness. It was real, deep, and meaningful. It was the kind of love that doesn't come around often. And no matter how hard they try, they can't find that same connection with someone else. They might be with a new person, but deep down, they're not satisfied. They're constantly comparing this new person to you, and no matter what, the new relationship falls short. Why? Because love isn't just about finding someone new. It's about finding someone who truly understands you, someone who sees you for who you are and loves you anyway. It's about the little things, the way you made them feel, the way you listened, the way you cared. And those things, they're not easy to replace. They're not something you can find overnight. This is where they start to feel the weight of their decision. They begin to see that what they had with you was special. It was unique. And no matter how much they try to convince themselves otherwise, they can't shake the feeling that they lost something irreplaceable. They might try to fill the void with new relationships, new experiences, or even distractions. But nothing compares to what they had with you. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." And right now, their biggest want is something they can't have: you. They want the connection, the understanding, and the love that you shared. But no matter how much they want it, they can't go back. They can't undo their choices. And that's something they'll have to live with. For you, this is a reminder of your worth. You were someone special to them. You gave them something that no one else could. And even though they might not say it out loud, they know it. They know that what they had with you was rare and valuable. They know that you were irreplaceable. So as you move forward, remember this: their regret is not your responsibility. You don't need to wait for them to realize what they lost. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You already know your value. You know that what you gave was real and meaningful. And that's something no one can take away from you. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I was irreplaceable, and they know it. Say it to yourself every day. Let it remind you that you are enough, just as you are. Let it remind you that their loss is not your burden to carry. You are moving forward, growing, and becoming the best version of yourself. And that's something no one can ever replace. Number 4, their pride won't let them say, "I'm sorry." They regret losing you. They feel it in their heart, in their quiet moments, and in the emptiness that lingers where you used to be. But there's one thing stopping them from saying it out loud: their pride. Their ego is like a wall they've built around themselves, and it's keeping them from being honest about how they truly feel. Admitting they were wrong would mean admitting they didn't appreciate you when they had the chance. It would mean facing the fact that they let go of something meaningful, something real. And for some people, that's too hard to do. Their ego tells them that apologizing or admitting regret is a sign of weakness. So, instead of being honest, they stay silent. They'd rather hold on to their pride than take responsibility for their actions. But here's the thing: their silence doesn't mean they're at peace. In fact, it's the opposite. Their mind is loud. Their thoughts are racing. They replay the past, wondering what they could have done differently, wondering if they made a mistake. And at night, when the distractions of the day fade away, the regret creeps in. It sits with them, reminding them of what they lost. They might try to hide it. They might act like they're fine, like they've moved on. But deep down, they're struggling. They're stuck in a cycle of pride and regret, unable to move forward because they can't bring themselves to admit the truth. And while they're stuck, you're moving on. You're growing, healing, and living your life. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And that's the difference between you and them. You're choosing to live. You're choosing to grow, to heal, and to embrace the future. They, on the other hand, are stuck in the past, trapped by their own pride and unwillingness to take responsibility. This is where you have the power. You don't need their apology to move forward. You don't need them to admit they were wrong to know your worth. Their silence and their pride are their burdens to carry, not yours. You're already free, free from their games, free from their ego, and free to live a life that's full and meaningful. So, as you continue on your journey, remember this: their regret is not your responsibility. You don't need to wait for them to say, "I'm sorry," to find peace. You already have everything you need within you. You have the strength to move forward, the courage to heal, and the power to create a life that's truly your own. Let their pride be their problem. You're too busy living, growing, and becoming the best version of yourself, and that's something no one can ever take away from you. Number 5. They expected you to wait, but you didn't. When they walked away, they assumed you'd always be there. They thought you'd wait for them, hoping they'd come back, believing they'd eventually realize what they lost. They expected you to break first, to reach out, to show them that you still cared. But instead, you did something they never saw coming. You moved on. You stopped waiting for them. You stopped checking their social media, stopped wondering if they'd call, and stopped seeking their validation. You chose yourself. You chose to heal, to grow, and to build a life that didn't revolve around them. And that's what's hitting them the hardest. They thought they had all the time in the world. They thought you'd always be there, ready to take them back whenever they decided to return. But now they're realizing the truth. You were a once-in-a-lifetime kind of love. You were someone who truly cared, who gave your all, and who loved deeply. And once that's gone, it's gone for good. This realization is what's hurting them the most. They thought they could take you for granted, but now they see that you're not someone who waits around. You're not someone who settles for less than you deserve. You're strong, independent, and capable of moving forward without them. And that strength, it's something they never expected. Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." And you? You didn't just live. You thrived. You took the pain, the heartbreak, and the disappointment, and you turned it into something beautiful. You used it as fuel to become a better version of yourself. You didn't let their actions define you. Instead, you defined your own path. Their regret is not your responsibility. You don't need to feel guilty for moving on or for choosing yourself. You did what was best for you, and that's something to be proud of. They might be struggling with the consequences of their actions, but that's their journey to navigate, not yours. So, as you continue to move forward, remember this: you are strong, you are resilient, and you are worthy of a love that values you. You didn't wait for them to realize your worth because you already knew it, and that's the most powerful thing of all. Keep thriving, keep growing, and keep living your life on your own terms. You've already proven that you don't need anyone else to be whole. You are enough, just as you are. Number 6. They're waiting for you to break, but you won't. They're waiting for that text, that call, or that moment when you show them you still care. They're holding on to the hope that their absence will break you, that you'll miss them so much, you'll come crawling back. They believe they still have power over you, that their silence will make you desperate. But here's the truth. Every day that passes without you reaching out is a battle they're losing. They were so sure you'd fold first. They thought you'd be the one to break, to give in, to show them they still mattered to you. But instead, you've done the opposite. You've stayed strong. You've chosen silence over drama, peace over chaos, and self-respect over desperation. And now, they're starting to realize that the person they once thought they could control is no longer under their spell. This realization is hitting them hard. They thought their absence would make you weak, but instead, it's shown them how strong you truly are. They thought they had the upper hand, but now they see that you've taken your power back. You've stopped playing their games, stopped waiting for their validation, and stopped letting their actions dictate your emotions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that's exactly what you've done. You've realized that your peace and happiness don't depend on them. You've taken control of your thoughts, your emotions, and your life. You've chosen to focus on yourself, your growth, and your future. And in doing so, you've shown them that their power over you is gone. Their waiting game is failing because you're no longer participating. You're not sitting around hoping they'll come back or wondering if they still care. You're living your life, moving forward, and becoming the best version of yourself. And that's something they never expected. So, as they sit there waiting for you to break, remember this: you've already won. You've taken back your power, your peace, and your life. You've proven that you don't need them to be happy or whole. And that's the most empowering thing of all. Keep moving forward, keep shining, and let their waiting be a reminder of how far you've come. You're no longer the person they thought they could control. You're stronger, wiser, and free, and that's something no one can ever take away from you. Yes, they regret losing you. Yes, they feel it, but that's their burden to carry, not yours. You don't need their apology, their validation, or their words to know your worth. Their actions, or lack of them, tell you everything. Their silence speaks louder than any apology ever could. Their loss is permanent, but your growth is unstoppable. Keep moving forward. Keep shining. Keep being the incredible person they thought they could replace, but never could. You've already proven your strength, and your future is brighter without them. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay strong, stay empowered, and never settle for less than you deserve. You are enough, just as you are. Keep glowing.